This story begins the first 6 days of creation, in the beginning. So it all begins, it didn't begin 60 million years ago with the dinosaurs and then later on came men. Men and dinosaurs were created on the same day, the 6th day of creation. That's a very important concept for us to accept. That right there is the paradigm that we begin with, that dinosaurs and men were created on the same day. That's an important thing to understand, to keep in mind. Adam named all the animals. Genesis 2:1 says he named all the land animals and the birds. So Adam named the dinosaurs. Now, do we have names for dinosaurs that Adam gave to them in the past? No, because the word dinosaur didn't come along until the 1800s when a man called it dinosaur actually means terrible lizard in Latin. So it wasn't called that. In the Bible, they were called dragons. In the Bible, they were called Leviathan and Behemoth. But most of the time when you see the word dragon, if it doesn't refer to the devil, it's referring to a creature that would be like a dinosaur, if it's not referring to the devil himself, of course. Let's pretend that we're standing on this spot right here with my friends that I know during the dig that we were here. I was here in this dig. And they uncovered this Acrocanthosaurus track right here in the limestone. So we're all standing around. There's an evolutionist standing over here, and then Billy and I are standing behind this guy right over here. Now we're both looking at this dinosaur track that was just uncovered. Billy and I approached this track from the scenario of that book right there, and so we don't have this narrow vision, we have this broad vision. We're willing to accept any information that we see and try to evaluate it according to that book. This evolutionist is doing this. I don't want to see that stuff you got over there. All I want to see is this right here. I know what I believe, and I don't want to hear what you got to believe. I don't want to hear anything that you've got to say that goes against what I believe. I got this narrow view. That's what we're talking about today, people. The two different views that we had going on at the time, at the day that we go on. In whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not. All right? This guy doesn't believe that, so he's blinded to anything else. He's got blinkers on, like a racehorse that you don't want him to see what's going on inside. That's the whole problem right there. We all have the same evidence. It's right here in the rocks to see. We look at this, Billy and I look at this, and we see chalk cliffs right here that all came about in 1 year because of the flood. We see this erosion going on right here that created this basin area and these rock formations that are non-erosive, more non-erosive than the stuff down here in the bottom. We look at it with that in mind, right, Billy?
Well, yes, and the thing is that as we look at these things, you've got to realize the greatest destruction that ever occurred in the world was the flood. Yes. Can you imagine when we see a little flood sometime of 30 feet or something like that, a lot of damage. Imagine a 3,000, 4,000 foot tsunami hitting against a mountain range. It would destroy it in weeks. All it was destroyed during the flood, and the basins filled up with the sediments from these mountains. We'll show you some mountains under Dallas and Hillsborough. They were as tall as the Rockies. The whole tops are knocked off, filled up the Fort Worth Basin. And that became some of the oil and gas because a lot of organic matter, plants and animals, were carried into the basin also. And that's what oil is, ancient organic matter subjected to heat and pressure.
Be ready to give every man an answer to the hope that lieth in you. How many of you have children and grandchildren? Raise your hands. When your children and grandchildren come in and talk to you and they ask you about something they learned in school that was biological evolution in nature, and they ask you a question and they say, well, Grandpa, what do you have to say about this? Do you want to be able to give them a good answer?
Yes.
Sure you do. That's what he and I want you to be able to do. To give them a good answer. An answer that actually fits what we believe. That is our mission. That is why we wrote this. That is why he and I are here. That's why God will keep us here as long as he wants us to be able to do that. So don't you agree, Billy?
Yes. And you won't always be successful. Some people think you're goofy because you believe these things. And a guy called me the other day after I told him the story of men and dinosaurs living at the same time. He said, what are you, some kind of goofy gospel geologist? And so they look down upon you instead of looking up on you, because Christians aren't looked up on for what we believe. They've already looked down because we're goody two-shoes. We're these kind of people that are always saying you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do this, and so forth. So all you can do is try and pray and hope it turns out right.
I firmly believe with all my heart, I'm serious, that God brought me and Billy and Carl and Mike and Mark and David and everybody else that's here at this place for this purpose.
That's right.
In the last days, to be able to give the truth.
Yes.
And we're here to give the truth. Right, Brother Carl? Absolutely.